First, there was Dueling Citizens, now Secrets from the Inside. Author Greg Meakin nails it again. Introducing Secrets from the Inside Radio Show. Raw, unscripted, uncensored, uncanceled. Secrets from the Inside starts now.
You got me headed to the left, headed to the right, headed back and forth, but baby, it's alright. You got me going to the east, going to the west, going up and down, 'cause baby, you know best. All day, all night, running around, I'm never gonna stop because you never settle down. Got me shooting into space, flying at the sun. I'm never coming back, 'cause baby, you're the one.
Good morning, everybody. Goodness gracious. Greg Meakin here. Secrets from the Inside. This is a unscheduled, unrehearsed, unscripted show. It's called, in the veteran world, we call it a rapid deployment because we go live fast. So that's what we're doing today. I'm doing this because this is really my call. We have such an edgy breaking story behind the scenes in Arizona. So this is especially for you folks in Arizona, but also you folks nationally and internationally that love the idea of school choice, not just the public school system. The public school system in my day in the 60s and 70s was what it was supposed to be. Okay. So this is as I call a rapid deployment. I'm going to give a full disclaimer here. It's kind of fun. I get to do a disclaimer on my own show. In 1992, when I went on my first very big talk show with a gentleman named Mark Larson, Mark Larson did a disclaimer before I started. And basically, here's what it is. The views expressed today by Val OLSON are in no way reflect the views of perhaps the host, Greg Meakin, but they do, and our sponsors and advertisers, of which we have none, which is fine. I love that independence. But the views expressed today, seriously, are Val OLSON's, in that we've been talking about this for a while, but it's regarding ESA in Arizona. ESA. And that is known as the Empowerment Scholarship Account. Empowerment Scholarship Account, which means school choice. School choice. The state of Arizona was a pioneer on, it's called school vouchers. A lot of Americans know it as school vouchers. But I'm just going to tell you right now, the school voucher program, the school choice, is really in jeopardy right now in the state of Arizona. And you're going to find out why. It's really in jeopardy. Wait till you hear these stories from Val, seriously, because Val is as most folks know, Val is a homeschool mom, very much an active mom. Her handle is at-home media mom. So she navigates in a whole bunch of different circles, but especially and most importantly, the moms and the kids. Any fact checkers or AI folks out there have a heyday today, because I'm going off of memory. Arizona school choice, I love this. The first allowance, I believe, the allowance for the kids, and it follows the student. This is very libertarian, very Trumpy. It follows the student and the mom families. And when it was first introduced, I believe the allowance was $7,300 per year. Not sure what it is now. Again, fact checkers, look that up. But I'm going to bring Val on stage real soon here, And I'm just going to cut her loose. This is a first for us. We've been doing radio for going on 5 years. We've been on hundreds of shows together, both as a team and then as guests. I'm going to bring her on and really for the first time, cut her loose on what is going on, this tragedy behind the scenes. We've got kids that aren't able to go to their own little Bible school because funds were cut off or frozen, or I'm going to let Val talk about that. And it goes further than that because this is the first I've learned of really the internal structure. I think of it as the student's wallet of funds that are available. So Val will fill you in on that. Before I start, I want to do two quick shout outs, prayers for two dear friends of mine. One is Eddie Floyd in Reno. Eddie Floyd tragically was in a wildfire that swept through his house up in Reno. Eddie lost his wife and his dog, and I think his house. And prayers up to him. He's currently in critical but stable condition up in Reno with burns on 40% of his body. So this is a shout out and prayers from me to you at Eddie Floyd at America Matters Media. You guys are dear friends of ours, so I wanted to do that. Also, a quick shout out to my dear friend Chris Branham. Chris is my voiceover guy. He did the voiceover for not only this interview, this intro today, this radio intro, but others. I have about 3 or 4 other intros that he's done. He's our brilliant voiceover guy. Chris is going in for surgery on the 24th. I won't elaborate. He's going in for surgery on the 24th up in Wisconsin, and just my prayers out to him that everything goes well. And he's feistier than ever before. So those are the only 2 shout outs I really wanted to make today. Indeed, if folks are prayer folks out there, to Eddie Floyd and to Chris Branham. I'm going to bring Val on. As a matter of fact, bring yourself onto the stage here, Val. I'm going to introduce you to your own show. Get ready, everybody. I talked to, way back in my finance days, I talked to a F-14 Tomcat pilot. He was the real deal. This is back F-14s, by the way. That's what Tom Cruise flew in Top Gun. Okay, for all my Canadian folks. Anywho, this guy's pilot had said, I said F-14 Tomcat. When you're up there, I asked him 2 questions. When you're up there, does it feel like you're fighting, or is it more of a video game? And he looked at me. This was in Saturn of Linwood in Seattle, Val. He looked at me. He said, "Oh no, you're fighting. You're fighting another guy." Secondly, I think he confirmed that landing an F-14 Tomcat on an aircraft carrier is it's like a controlled crash. Okay, so for my military guys out there, this show will be going fire and wide. But Val, I want to introduce you. I want to say hi, and seriously, just cut you loose. Okay. Come on, chat with me a little bit here just to get the show going. And this.
Well, yes, I've moved from Alberta to Arizona. For those of you that are just joining the first time, I was very active there. I was a long-term mainstream broadcaster, radio, TV, the whole shebang. And then I moved into politics briefly, and I took important matters that were impacting the family home. And communism is known in Canada, which is right on the border to the United States, if I need to remind anybody watching, and just how close and how communism creeps in. And I love talking about guns and Bibles and all these hot ticket item buttons that get people worked up. But I found the most important issue of our day in politics was actually how our freedoms were being taken away through freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of religion, and especially when it came to parents raising their children. And this is very alarming because it affects the next generation. And obviously, children are dependent on adults to protect them. So when I was seeing all of these things happening, attacked at the family, but especially at our kids, I paid attention and I started going into the schools. I visited over 30 schools. So I had a really good idea what was happening in many different schools at a classroom level. And I kid you not, I come from Alberta, which is, described like the Texas of Canada. So when you think of that, it's supposed to be the Wild West and people are going to stand up and fight for their rights. But the communist infiltration was so embedded in really deep-seated ways, like inside of the curriculum in the textbooks. And the textbooks were locked in boxes and teachers wore keys on their necks. And I kid you not, I went in, I spoke to many teachers. Textbooks were not being sent home with children anymore. So parents had no idea what their children were actually learning. And I had one Canadian politician, a school board, so a school board official tell me, he said, where I come from, Medicine Hat, Alberta, he said, we are a test tube. We are a test tube city. This is where all the ideas get tested on families and children here. And he thought it was great. He thought it was funny. It was in a newspaper article. And I looked at that and I thought, you're experimenting on us. What exactly are you doing? And so I began to really use my investigative journalist skills and understand the depths of what that meant. And so here I am in the United States now, and I am all over the neighborhood talking to parents, educating parents on how to, gauge a standard of parental rights and what does that actually mean. So when President Trump came to Arizona and stood on the stage and said, Arizona is the flagship for education and parental rights and improving our education system because there's errors within it. Look to Arizona. Arizona is going to lead. So when he said that, that was exciting. Because what he did is he prioritized the child, which meant he looked at every single child and said, not every child learns the same. How can we support the child? That was a huge moment. And the mainstream glossed over it. But what he said is now the money is going to follow the child so the parent has options. And we are going to lead from Arizona. It means that all eyes are going to be on Arizona. And what happens in Arizona affects the way the country goes. So today's broadcast is very, very important because it's going to impact the rest of the country because we are knee deep. So if you look at quicksand, we're at the halfway point. And the fact that the mainstream hasn't followed up on this or have a starting point, a midpoint, and an end point on following this major, major story is just jaw-dropping to me, quite honestly. And I'm going to tell you why and explain to you why in a very simplified way. So in Arizona, every child is entitled to the Empowerment Scholarship Fund, which allows you approximately $7,300 for you to choose how your child learns. So perhaps your child has been bullied at a public school and they hated the experience. And you're like, well, what options do I have? Now, all of a sudden you have options. You can shop around. It's the best of the best. So we're seeing parents take their children out of school, hire a private teacher or do a neighborhood school. We're seeing many teachers retire from the traditional school and they're doing neighborhood schools. Pretty much whatever you want to do, you can create it. So children, this is a way to unindoctrinate, bring them back to a baseline. And this is how we move in the future of correcting a problem because we know what happened during COVID. Parents were starting to see what was actually going on inside of the classrooms, and many put their foot down and said no more. So if you look at it from the standpoint of every child has $7,300 allocated to them, that money is physical money, and it goes into a wallet. So each child has a wallet. The money is deposited, and the parent decides how they're going to use those funds. It's up to the parent to decide. But what I've noticed about haters of freedom, haters of personal decision making, because that's what they are. They love to police. They love to get in there, and they are going to police it every which side of Sunday. So what that means is you set up an office and you make it as difficult as possible to spend the funds. You throw bureaucratic wrenches and paperwork and confusion into the mix. And so that money is harder to spend for the parent. So, Greg, any questions to this point?
No, just for to clarify for a lot of our listeners, just real clarification is this arose because these accounts in Arizona for a select number of schools have been frozen or eliminated. So these moms, in Val's case, she's got 2 daughters who are unable to attend their little Bible school. It was an ESA school.
Well, the funds are hijacked. So the
Right.
school
Go ahead.
has to find a way to pay for it because their bank accounts have basically been robbed. So we're fast forwarding to like the midway point. But what you're saying is it's not just me and my daughters. We don't know the exact number of how many families are impacted. But basically, as you're listening to this at home right now, look at it like this. $7,300 is allocated to every child, and we've lost access to those bank accounts. We don't have an account. We don't know where the money is. The ESA, meaning your school plan for the year, is not approved or disapproved. It's just gone. And the office that's responsible has no confirmation on how many families are impacted, how many don't have their scholarship fund approved or disapproved. So they're just left in limbo. And this government agency isn't stepping up with a press release and addressing this from so many angles. I mean, how much personal information has been leaked and at risk because they require all kinds of private information from every family? And how long until this is until it's changed and improved? We have not been given us a number. We don't know how many families are in jeopardy. We don't know if this is an attack on specific religious education school plans. We don't know if it's an employee, or is it the entire office? Is it a politician who's leading the charge and saying we're going to cut? This is because, I mean, that's what the Democratic plan is. It's right in their agenda, is they don't want parental choice in education. That's not a surprise. Is this a maneuver on their end? I don't know. These are questions I have as a member of the media that people with a much bigger microphone should be asking.
Val, on that note, again, the broader picture here, a lot for our Arizona folks is, just going to tell you, we've got a governor's race coming up in November, and we have had the last 4 years a Democrat governor,
Yes.
Katie Hobbs
Yes.
here in Arizona. And just going to say that I'm going to put this out there, change my mind. The Democrat Party and Katie Hobbs are against school choice. Change my mind. Secondly, their vision is to establish public schools only. Change my mind. Public schools being, of course, whatever they choose to be the curriculum. Anyhow, shout out Eddie Goodwin. God love Eddie Goodwin's listening right now. Unscheduled, Val. We got listeners and stuff, but I wanted to clarify that because this basically is an assault on school choice. My son Tanner, when he was in Florida, he had 5 schools to choose from. Here in Arizona, in Casa Grande, Arizona, there are 2 great schools to choose from, Legacy and Guardian. I've chatted with them. And these are ESA schools. They're basically not burdened with the overhead of these massive school unions and bureaucracy and stuff. So in the end, your daughters are unable to go to their school. You know, a bunch of moms that are unable to attend their school, Val, because of school, again, funds, whether it's eliminated, frozen, whatever. Back to you on that. But just to frame it for our really our Arizona audience, and for the audience around the country that wants their kids to have school choice. Okay. Anyhow, back
Right.
to you,
So
Val.
the question, what's most important here is this government agency is tasked with approving or disapproving your empowerment scholarship, which is the funds to, carry out your child's education for the year. And so now there's no funds. So there's also no approval. So these families are left completely in limbo. There's no remedy. There's no acknowledgement. I have yet to see a public release on how many families are still waiting in the state. And this is a problem because that government agency is collecting, they're working status quo, but they're just leaving these kids in limbo and taking zero responsibility or accountability on fixing it. So the question right now is, in Arizona, how many families are still impacted? What do you know about it? How much personal data has been compromised? And what are you doing, most importantly, to fix it? Because today is show and tell day. I'm very excited. I loved show and tell in school because that was how you could look at things and see it and touch it and understand it. And I wanted to do that for you at home, because so many times we're bombarded with, go read this bill, go read that bill, when it's very simple. Children's money that has been allocated towards education is missing. It's gone. We don't know who stole it. We don't know where it is.
So Val, this is a select group of schools. We're still trying to add that up. That was simply basically frozen funding. Okay, it's simple. But I'm going to cut you loose for a little short show and tell here. Seriously, like you alluded to, is, and I didn't realize this, per family. It's really money that follows the family and the kids. I love this. But there are allowances for teachers.
Yeah.
To get equipment or things that will aid. There are also different allowances if the child has special needs and stuff. I've heard about really big money being allocated in some cases, like more than $20,000. But because of that, teachers can order equipment or things that will help them. I'm going to cut you loose here, okay, Val? You need to tell me about the fruit drying machine. Okay, everybody, you can't make this stuff up. Go ahead, Val.
Okay, yeah, let me just take a minute, because people are like, okay, what are you talking about? Now, when this money is approved for your child, that means you can pick the curriculum, because you, the parents, are the teacher. Or if you are running you're a licensed teacher and you're working with families in ESA and you want tools and equipment to use within your classroom, you will go and buy accordingly, because this money has been pre-approved and your education plan has been approved. But somewhere along the line, this is where bureaucracy steps in, and they're like, how can we make it difficult? Well, why don't we kind of run a you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours is the best way to put it, because you have office workers who are deciding what kind of pencils you can get, what kind of equipment you can get. So you can see where there could be hijacking or who knows, all kinds of blackmail, bribery situations to arise. And I'm going to show today an example of how communism works, lives, and grows inside of a community, but especially in our education system today. So out of the $7,300, you as the parent get to spend that money for your child on educational add-ons, equipment, whatever it is to aid in their learning experience. So the first year the ESA came out, it was easy. It was, as President Trump preached from the pulpit, he said, this is going to be easy, watch Arizona. But by year 2, they found ways to embed, just like parasites, embed on the inside and really control the terrain. So now here we are, and a teacher wants to teach on food sustainability, how to preserve foods, and use dehydration as a way of doing that. So the teacher researched a hydration machine, a dehydrator, and found one that was on sale, very reasonable. They're pre-approved. They have to go to a master list to make sure what is approved and what isn't. So a dehydrator was on the list. So they ordered a dehydrator, which I happen to have right here, and we're gonna look at it. But when they applied for a dehydrator, they provided the one they wanted to order to their house, and they were told, no, you can't order that dehydrator. You have to use our dehydrator that we decide. So the family had no choice. If they wanted to carry on, if the teacher wanted to carry on with that pre-approved teaching, they had to use the dehydrator that the office, the government office, decided for them. And they get this machine, and there's no name on who made the product. So you don't know where it came from. It's flimsy. It has like dollar store trays inside of it, a cord that I can't read this. I don't know. I think it might be Chinese, Japanese. Anyways, it does say on the other side, pay attention to cord, power cord. Long-term use of heating is a normal phenomenon. Please rest assured to use. But what's really interesting on this dehydrator machine is it's not even in the metric of the United States. So you've got a government office tasked in the United States of America of deciding which dehydration machines you can use, but there is no name whatsoever on who made this product. It's not even in the correct metric here in the United States. The warranty card is a complete joke. You don't know where to send it, what kind of warranty you get with this product. It says, our company holds the explanation right if the user, if this user manual doesn't even make sense. So none of the instructions really tell you how to accurately, in another metric system, prepare meat. Though there's open wires that I would turn this on for you, but if I turn it on, the likelihood, because the wires are so close to the burner, of starting a fire is so serious, I'm not going to be stupid and do that. But these are questions that need answers to. Who is more equipped than a parent to decide, or a teacher, what equipment they're allowed to have in their classroom? I'd like to know the skills, the prerequisite of those specific employees in that office making these major decisions on which products are safe, which aren't, because the United States does have a standard. So I don't know if this meets standards, and there's nowhere to call. So the family that had selected an item, a dehydrator, that was able to provide, the actual temperature of what they're cooking at, etc. This machine, you have no idea, no way of telling how hot the device is, no idea how close it is to burning your house down, but there's zero accountability. Who's liable in this case? Is it the worker in the office who puts a check mark beside giving these items out, doing a deal with someone? Like this is what a chop shop looks like in every sense of the word, because there is no name, there's no inspection, the warranty card does not work. And these seem like little things, but they're big things if your house burns down. They're big things if it starts with a dehydrator and it works its way up into, okay, well, now you can't have school books unless they're approved by our office. This is offset from another country because the language isn't English. It's in a language and a metric that is not American. So I don't give free passes. President Trump stood in Arizona and he said Arizona was going to lead. Arizona was going to lead this country when it comes to parental choice in education. So there's a real dumpster fire happening here. And I personally, I'll talk to any politician. I don't care. I will happily meet with Katie Hobbs any day. I will meet with the Attorney General because we have a product issue. I will meet with the Department of Energy if they want to stop by and check this thing out, or President Trump. But honestly, I'm not cutting anybody free pass on this. Andy Biggs, I appreciate what he does. He's pro 2A. He stands up for our guns and Bibles. That's awesome. But the real ticker right now is education. And are you prepared to stand and be a shield in front of all these little children in Arizona who have had their wallets stolen and money missing? Who is going to rise to that occasion?
Right, Val. This is edgy stuff. Quick shout out to Grizz Paschke. Val Grizz, our regular, the Grizzmeister. Thanks for chiming in, man. I love you. You love Eddie Goodwin and all those guys. So thanks to you guys. Val, back to you. But I just want to continue framing this, that bottom line, there are families, there are moms right now that are having to either homeschool their kids or aren't able to send them to school.
Well, think about it. How can you send them to school if you don't have access to the funds to pay for the fees? And there's no accountability from, I've contacted all levels of government oversight, and I was told, if you can believe this, they said, well, if you're disputing this, you can go to the Arizona State Legislature and you can represent yourself. And I said, what are you talking about? I represent myself. And she said, well, if you dispute their determination. And I'm like, what determination? We can't get into our accounts. So if you can't get into your accounts, you don't know if all the money's gone, because it works just like a normal bank card, a wallet. The money carries over. So if you don't use all your funds one year, it carries over to the next and the next and the next. So it builds up. So say by the time you're in high school and you want to, focus on biology, you've got funds in your savings account to use. But all those funds in Arizona, they're missing. They are absolutely missing, and nobody has answers about this.
Very, very important. And either way, again, this has kind of been a fluid situation since really the program started. So I do invite people to check the numbers, do whatever you want to do. The one thing I'm going to say, though, is the two people that are really concerned about this, and I have texts into them, and I'm looking for them for leadership. One's Andy Biggs. He is way pro-choice, pro-school choice. Andy Biggs, and of course, Sheriff Mark Lamb. And I want to hear them chime in, and maybe our next show we'll do a follow-up on that. But this is a personal appeal to Andy Biggs, who hopefully will be our governor in November, that he really needs to fix this stuff. Okay, there's a lot of stuff going on in Arizona under the Katie Hobbs administration that's highly questionable. She's running for governor, and she's not even going to debate Andy. I've never heard of this before. People bowing out from debate. So I appeal to Andy Biggs on this. When you're elected governor, please fix this. Again, all the other fact checkers or details or whatever, I kind of don't want to hear it. This is a big issue of school choice versus one single public school for the whole community. Back to you on that. What happens to the dryer machine when it's not it doesn't work out for you guys? This gal was sent the wrong machine. Anyhow, go back to you on that, Val.
Sent the wrong machine. No, she was put through a bureaucratic BS, and this is part of what we're seeing. Is if you want to attack a program, you're going to add layers of bureaucracy, and you're going to take choice away from the parents. And so that's essentially how they are fighting. And it's very dirty, it's very unethical, and it harms the child. So you basically, if this was the public school and the funds weren't reaching the public school, what do you think would happen? That would be a full-on war. And so because it's happening, to parents who are in charge of their children's education, they don't know where to go. And I say that because I've contacted all of the branches of who to go to. I was actually referred to the ombudsman. I had a government education agency say, well, go get the ombudsman to represent you. No, I don't think so. If there's one thing I know, it's that parents are wide awake and aware. And there are religious schools that have been targeted and are on the receiving end of this garbage. And so how many religious schools are we talking about? Is it all like one sect of a religion? Is it Jewish, Christian, Mormon, Catholic? Well, we need to rally and get those numbers out there. And that is what a politician does, is they get the hard number. And I don't know, how many do we need to have a national day of meat at the Arizona legislature? Because we have nothing. We have nothing, no approval. Like, this is costing kids. We're into another school year, and we don't know how many families. If you go on the ESA website, there's a letter acknowledging numbers up to 9,000. Is like, how many? They're keeping it real quiet, but this is an international level story because countries are following the United States and what we're doing with our education. And when we see equipment that comes not even in English, but it's like, something you would find on Temu, and not even in your own metric. So how do you, and we're talking about food preparation and preservation.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane that this is going on. And so my goal is let's not blow this up. I'm not interested in blowing it up. What I'm interested in doing is fixing the problem.
Right.
So this is a bureaucratic issue, but it impacts families because those of you watching at home can see, okay, this is garbage. This, by the way, this nameless dehydrator, which is a fire hazard. I should take it over to the fire department and see how hot this thing gets, because there's open not even 2 inches from like a high burner. Anyways, my point is parents care, and what can we do about it? What kind of solution can we get? And so I'd like to say, is it unreasonable to know, one, how many families are impacted in the state of Arizona?
Right.
Let's start there. We need a baseline.
Right. Val?
Do we need to show up at the legislature?
Absolutely. Yeah. Message is going to be forwarded to the powers that be. A couple of comments in the chat. I love our guys. We're totally organic. We didn't even announce this show, but Grizz Paschke, Grizzmeister says, Greg and Val, love you guys. And Grizz says, I love school choice. And we got Eddie Goodwin that says, ditto, Greg. We have to have choice. And there also needs to be an investigation on where all the money goes. Way back when, it was my favorite line of Andy Biggs when he was campaigning. We visited him with him, Val, as you know. My favorite line he once says is I'm going to doge the heck out of Arizona. Just doge the heck out of Arizona. Okay, there we go, Andy Biggs. And this is a absolutely shameless shout out and plug for Andy Biggs, who will be the next governor of the state of Arizona. And existentially, I've been shouting this to the rooftop. We're talking the same thing about Mark Lamb, some of the other great guys in swing states, people. We need to win these elections. These are existential things. I know that when Andy Biggs is in office, I guarantee he's going to tackle school choice. He's already said he's going to tackle a number of other things, but I think he will get it done. And so we need to get rubber stamp left-wing politicians out of office, everybody, so we can bring common sense, as I call it, 1950s handshake world into 2026. Back to you, Val. I'm actually going to start wrapping a little bit. I love the comments, Grizz and Eddie and the other guys, and but I'm going to give you a few minutes here. We'll start to wrap up. We definitely got our point across today. We're 39 minutes in, and just go ahead and take a few minutes here, just kind of synopsis what we've been talking about. And the thing that bugs me the most is these kids that aren't able to go to school. I mean, your daughters are in a little Bible school and you're having to
Yeah.
homeschool them. So anyway, back
Well,
to you, Val. Sorry about that.
I'm an echo in the bucket. I mean, this impacts many families. But you know what? We're just pulling the layers back and showing it at a real basic level, and how, you know, if you wanted to find a way to rip the system off, if you're working on the inside, these are the ways that you can see. Obviously, there's some concern there. So I did not hear Andy Biggs talk about doging Arizona, but I would echo that there seems to be grounds of major issues from a quality standpoint, full-on education standpoint, every which way you look at it, major stuff. So I appreciate the opportunity to share and just do a show and tell to you today, to show you just one instance, but I have many more. We could bring families on and talk about this, talk to schools, because how long can schools hold out? How many schools have been forced to shut down? Many schools, because the money follows the child, schools are set up in churches. You know, how many churches is this impacting? I would just like rows and columns. Is this mostly targeted at certain faith groups? Because then you've got another issue right here on home turf. So keeping our neighborhood safety is top to me, and this is part of it. I don't have a politician that I won't talk to about this. So Katie Hobbs mentioned homeschool families. She called them leeches years ago. She said they leech off the system, which means they take. Which is an interesting word to use, but I would love to like talk about that with her. And I would like to show how if you flip that around, you could have inside issues where they're leeching off of a system. It kind of goes both ways. You put the mirror up. So yeah, whatever we can do to fix this. If you want to share this broadcast, send it to the mainstream, send it to Fox News. Send it to your favorite White House correspondents, by all means, because President Trump should be presented with these questions, because he used Arizona as the compass point to watch in our country. So Andy Biggs as well, maybe he will step in and do a field trip. I'm happy. We'll take him right across the state and we could do a paper trail of how many families are impacted. Whatever it takes.
This is so fabulous because this is truly breaking on your end. You're cutting loose, Val, and sharing what's on your mind about this stuff. And it's big stuff. It's big stuff. The net, and I'm going to start to wrap the show pretty quick here. Val, question. I'll have you take us out with an outro, Seeps from the Inside outro and stuff. But I'm going to I'm just take a quick second here. Take a quick second and I'll have you take us out. But to all you folks really in Arizona and anywhere around the country who feel disenfranchised or are frustrated because of all kinds of garbage going on like this. And to any fact checkers or any critics, okay, it's a culture of critics. Critics don't have any skin in the game. But to any nice folks, bring some facts to the table. We can discuss them. Any questions about any of these dollar amounts or allowances or whatever? It's a very fluid situation. And as you said, Val, really tough to get a straight answer on this stuff. Really tough to get a straight answer. So that said, just feel free. Always be able to contact me. My website, I'm always accessible, and that's gregmeakin.com. Always visit my YouTube channel. This was a true rapid deployment. And I'm talking less than an hour notice to say, hey, this is an issue. Let's bring it to the table. Let's toss it out there and let everybody debate about it. Again, bring your facts and your statistics and your truth and bring some authenticity to the table when you want to discuss anything with us. But do feel free to contact me. Feel free to always get in touch with Val. She's the most accessible person I've ever known. And I'm just telling you, I've worked with her almost going on 5 years and done hundreds of broadcasts. This is one of the rare ones when I said, okay, Val, we just got to cut loose with this. Let's get the facts on the table. Let's get your point of view on the table. I really wanted to get your mom's point of view, as you did, on the table, where you're saying, God, I've got kids and I can't schedule them to, to our little Bible school, ESA school. You got other friends' moms. Maybe that's a show for another day, Val, where we just bring on disenfranchised moms, because unfortunately, civilians and teachers and leaders, and mainly the kids, they're the ones that are the victims here. All these kids want to do is go to school. You guys are doing a great job homeschooling and filling in. I hear your little church was doing a little fundraiser to be able to pay teachers and stuff. This is the issue. It's the home front. And I look to all of our leaders, and there are a bunch of good ones out there. Val, a lot of authentic people. A lot of people want to make change. We talk about them a lot. There's a lot back in DC, a lot better people than you might think. But it's tough to make change. It's tough to make change. And when you look at something, Val, like this, as simple as this, should parents have a choice of schools for their kids? Or is there just one fits all public school system available? That's the issue. That's the question. And I look to our leaders. I look to our leaders to fix this, and not talk about it, to fix it, hopefully starting in November. Well, you got me on a little one there, Val. I'm going to give it back to you, single screen. You take us out, okay? Because I have a funny feeling there's going to be some amazing follow-up from this show. And I thank all you guys, Grizz, Eddie. There's a number of you that listen. There's a number of folks that monitor our show without really appearing on the likes and stuff and shares. And so I thank all of you. And I do say to everybody, follow us on YouTube. This was a true unscheduled, unscripted, uncensored, undoxed, uncanceled, unswatted show. And it's going to stay that way. And if we're ever shut down on one platform, we'll just go to another. Okay, that was a little passion on my part here, because it's really frustrating. Man, I know a lot of families and people that are frustrated because no matter how much common sense they seem to have, things can't get done. Things can't get done. So we're going to try and fix that, hopefully starting in November. I thank you, everybody, and who's also going to listen on replays and rebroadcasts. So I thank you guys, and I always say at the end of every show, and it happened today, I learned something today from Val OLSON. And that is, wake up in kindergarten every day, everyone. There's so much to learn and so little time. Because before you know it, you're in first grade. God love you, everyone. Back to you, Val.
Yes, so you are covering it from the neighborhood, but let me preface this part with saying I'm happy to go into our personal situation. So in little schools, there's so many that are impacted. As to which ones and what their numbers are remains to be seen. But when I'm hearing of 7 and then I heard 4 more, my understanding is that's 11 in a school of like 30. Okay, so 30 families. So I'm suggesting fundraising, because these little church schools are trying not to put the pressure on the parents to pay and are finding a way to come up with money. How do they do that? So as a mom, my heart I'm like, wow, that's the power of community. That no matter what, they're going to find a way. Who's going to cover that? And at the end of the day, who took the money from the children? Who is holding this money hostage? So that's the closing thoughts and questions on my heart. Thanks everyone for joining. Please share. And this has been another episode of Secrets from the Inside.
First, there was Dueling Citizens. Now, Secrets from the Inside. Author Greg Meakin nails it again. Introducing Secrets from the Inside radio show. Raw, unscripted, uncensored, uncanceled. Secrets from the Inside starts now.